Good morning everyone, it's Monday morning and I hope you've had a wonderful weekend, whatever you were doing, and you're ready for the week ahead. And if not, why not join me for this class to get that energy flowing again and just lift your spirits and just feel a little bit better today. So today you are going to need your block or a cushion if you haven't already got one. So grab that, have it ready, but make sure that it is outside of your working area at the moment so that it's not going to be a trip hazard. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that down ready. I've made sure I've got a nice, safe, clear working area. And remember, if you are joining in with this, you are taking responsibility for your own body. So I am not there to correct individually. I will give some modifications and some cues, but please do make sure that you listen to your body, you stay safe, and you take responsibility for what you're doing today within the class. Okay, so stay safe. So as I said, nice, safe, clear working area, and then just making sure that we bring ourselves into good standing posture. Okay, and it's Monday morning, so we probably need, I think, a bit of a stretch. So if your arms and shoulders will allow, just take a big stretch, just stretch. You know, like you would when you get out of bed, just take a big stretch, reach through those fingertips. Oh, and bring it back down. And that just feels really good, doesn't it? Just take another stretch. You might feel like you want to do this a bit differently. You might feel like you want to stretch forwards. Oh, wake the body up. It's very often we ignore that instinct to stretch, and our bodies really need it. So if you ever feel like you need a stretch, just have a stretch. It's good for you. Okay, so from there we're going to start working on the head. So let's think about our good standing posture. Find the centre of the heels. Find that even pressure across the ball of the foot. Toes spread out. Lengthening up through the spine. And chin softly tucked back. Let's just take the chin over the shoulder, don't force it, and then as you exhale, we're going to go all the way over the other shoulder. So if you know rotation isn't great for your neck, keep it really small, listen to your body. So hold for that breath in, exhale to move. Let's see if we can get those breaths to be big and full. And exhale. This is your last one. And exhale to centre. Now let's just bring that chin back and down and see if we can take the ear towards the shoulder. So feel that you're getting a stretch along the neck, along the shoulder and up behind the ear. So if you're not feeling that, maybe you're taking your chin with you. Keep the chin in the middle. Let's roll to the side. Now we're going to go into a full circle, but we're not going to drop the head back. So we're going to go to the side and imagine drawing a circle with your nose in the air. So we're just going to lift the head and round. So I didn't lift my chin and drop my head back. It just came up. Now let's go the other way. Take it down and round. And one more. And centre. Lovely. Right, breath in. Can you shrug those shoulders up for me? And as you exhale, can you feel the front of the shoulder open and down? Just connect this movement with your breath. You don't have to stay at the same pace as me. Just to wherever your breath is today. And one more. Now I think we probably ought to get those feet moving. So let's just go into our foot pedals for now. Lifting up and getting that lovely stretch underneath the foot, underneath those toes. Thinking of sending the heel forwards. And keeping those collarbones wide. So can you feel that wonderful width across the chest as you do this double arm float? Let's do one more each foot. And then let's leave the arms here and place the heel back down. Now we're going to open one arm. If it feels good for your shoulder, we're going to take it a little further back and just follow that hand just a touch. Feel that stretch across the front of the shoulder. Now we're going to thread underneath the other arm and turn. Push that arm forwards. Do what I'm always telling you not to do and open the back of your shoulder. So we're going to open, stretch, inhale. Open the front of the shoulder. And we're going to open the back of the shoulder. Let's do that one more time. And then can you give me an arm circle? See if those shoulders move a bit differently now that we've loosened one up. Okay, let's take the other arm. So we're going to open out, follow it round. So you're stretching that arm long. If you don't reach through the fingertips, you're not going to get that lovely opening into the front of the shoulder. So you're going to really reach away. Feel the full length of that arm. Threading through. Turn and stretch. Let's do one more. And through, and then an arm circle again if you can. Oh, and feel how lovely and loose those shoulders are now. Okay, let's take advantage of that and step our feet a little bit wider. And we're going to go into our monkey squats, and then we're going to add some arms in. So let's come into the heels and hinge forwards, down into that squat, and push up. Into that hinge and down into that squat. Now on this next one, could you keep your arms out in front for me? Feel that length in your spine, width across the front of the shoulders, and let's push back up. So this time as we squat, we're going to swim round. We've got nice loose shoulders, reach behind you, and reach back again. Turn and reach, lengthen that spine. So try and notice if you feel like you tuck your pelvis under or you stick your bottom further out as you come down into that squat. Let's do one more. Reach it round and reach it back. Wonderful. Now we're going to come into a split squat now, so this is different from a lunge. It might be, if you're not too sure about your balance, that you want to have one hand on a wall or on a sturdy piece of furniture. Back of the sofa is ideal. Okay, so we're going to step one leg back. Now just check that this hip hasn't come with you. Hips are square to the front, your knees are pointing forwards, and your heel is pointing away from you. Now, let's lift out of those hips, get that core active. And we're going to take a little hinge, push your hips back, and sit. Imagine you're trying to sit on that heel. Come down into your split squat and push back up. So unlike a lunge, back leg is doing the work here. I don't want you to go deep. I might be going a bit deep for some of you. Just a little bend. If this isn't available to you, if this is too much for your feet maybe, just come back to your monkey squats. We're going to do 2 more. Now, from there, can you peel up onto your toe? Stretch that foot. Could you take those arms up and lift your toe off the floor? And give it a tap back down. Only small. Keep reaching that leg away. And let's bring it back in. Well done. Right, let's do those on the other side then. So we're stepping back as though we're going to do a lunge. We've still got that little hinge, but as we hinge, you're going to push the hips back towards that back foot. And then sit towards that back heel. Keep it small and push back up. Spread those toes out. So if you're somebody who likes to turn that leg out, just turn, check you haven't turned that leg out, or in even. That knee's pointing forwards. Take it nice and steady. So we've got that little hinge, long spine. I'm not rounding into it. Let's do 1 more. They're quite hard work, aren't they? And again, from there, if you can you peel up through that foot? Hips are square. Let's take the arms up if you can. Reach that leg away and lift. So feel that this is coming from your glutes, not your lower back. Maybe a little bit in your hamstrings, but I want to, I have to concentrate. Mainly to be your glutes. And bring it in and down. Lovely. From there, we're just going to stay with the feet hip distance. And all I'd like to do is just take the arms back, open the shoulders a little, and we're just going to reach round. We're just going to circle, let the head drop, let the back round a little, and then open out again. Breath in. Exhale. Inhale. So it's just a little nod of the head and feeling a little bit of rounding in the back, and then opening and strengthening in the back. Now if you can, it might be nice to add in the knees and get a bit more neutral into the pelvis. So we're going to soften the knees. Can you scoot forwards and back? See if you can keep that pelvis upright rather than letting it drop forwards. So you feel that lower back open now. So if you have spine issues, remember you're going to monitor, keep yourself safe with this, work within your safe range. And 1 more. And up. Wonderful. Let's take the arms forwards again and come back to our foot pedals with a bow and arrow. So when the knee goes forwards, the elbow comes back. I'll turn that way a little bit more, that's better. Now, if it's safe for you to rotate, certain spinal conditions you know it isn't, especially osteoporosis, then you're going to stay facing the front. You can turn the head maybe, but otherwise, can you follow that elbow round and just notice if you feel your abdominals doing this work for you. Or do you feel it's your back? So if it's your back, just see if you can lift out of those hips a little bit more and keep those hips level. Almost as though they're two separate parts of the body. They are, you know what I mean. Like when a magician saws a lady in half. They're moving separately. Right, let's take a lovely big stretch up and back down. Right, we're going to do some nice stretching into the legs now. Again, you might want a hand on the wall or a piece of furniture. Okay, so we're going to go back to that split stance, so start hip distance. Let's step one leg back, and I'd like you to push that heel away to feel that stretch happen into the calf. Now we're going to come forwards with that. As you peel it down, lift the arm. Shoulder issues, just listen to your body. Now notice, if you're a person who turns your leg out, are you pushing that heel away or are you letting that leg turn in? You won't feel a calf stretch if you're letting that leg turn in. Now, we're going to stay here with this one. Bring the arm down. We're just going to take it into the small of the back and open the shoulder and take a little lunge forwards and back. So if any of you were doing any gardening or DIY this weekend, you're probably going to be absolutely loving this. One, come into that lunge. Now, if you can, we're going to take both hands onto that front leg. Can you bend the back leg and straighten the front leg? And switch. So you're going to bend the back leg, bend the front leg, keep the feet anchored. Remember, you can keep your hand on the wall if you need to, or the furniture. If you can go a bit deeper and that feels okay for your spine, you can get a good hamstring stretch by bringing that body lower. Sciatic issues, listen to your body. If it doesn't feel right, if it brings on any symptoms, don't do it. Let's do one more. And step forwards now. Can you take a big step up? Stretch, flex the hands, push towards the ceiling. And then open. And down. Wonderful. Right, let's do that on the other side. So remember, you've got your wall. We're starting with that calf stretch. Hips are square. Make sure that heel is pointing away from you. We're going to ease that heel down. Oh, I did a nice arm float, didn't I? Let's do that arm float. Nice to keep other bits of the body moving too. So you're peeling through that foot. Calf stretches, foot stretches. Enjoy that movement, really connect to what you can feel happening in your foot and in your leg. Okay, let's stay here. Take that hand into the back. I'm going to ease forwards and ease back. So we ease forwards into lunge, bend the front knee, bend the back knee. Watch for swinging that hip out to the side. So that hand into your back should help you to monitor whether that's happening or not. And then if you can, if it feels good for you and you want to get that hamstring stretch, Bring the body lower, lengthen that spine. Just pressing through. Let's do one more. And this time as you come forwards, peeling up, take the arms up, flex the wrists, reach. That's it. Stretch through that whole body, all the way up that side. And step it in. Lovely, let's give those shoulders a roll. Hopefully you feel really nice and warm and loose now. So we're going to come down onto the mats. If 4-point position isn't available to you, so if it's wrists, either come onto the knuckles or onto a sturdy coffee table or piece of furniture. If it's knees and hips, feel free to sit in a sturdy chair towards the front edge. Okay, so let's just come down, see if we can engage that core and avoid using our hands to come down unless you really need to. So if you need to, please do. Now this one might be a little bit trickier if you are seated, because we're actually going to do a foot stretch. So what you might like to do is put your feet out in front and just really flex and stretch, so you're just going to work your feet. So what we're going to do is come into 4-point position, which we do quite a lot, but I normally have you resting on the tops of your feet, but today I'm going to get you to tuck your toes underneath, because we're going to do a foot exercise. So I would like you, if it feels okay with your toes, to press back and come forwards. In fact, I'm going to take my hands a little further forwards. Now I want you to really push your hips back and feel that stretch into the toes. So think of pushing your bottom backwards but kind of up into the air at the same time. And allow that pressure to go down into the toes. So if you have arthritis or bone spurs or bunions and this doesn't feel good, you could just sit and stretch and flex the feet as well. So we're stretching back and forwards. And one last one. Enjoy that stretch. And forwards. Okay, untuck and just see how nice your feet feel now. It really is a lovely stretch. So we're coming into that 4-point position and lengthening out that spine. And we're going to go back to an exercise that we were doing in standing, where we were opening the shoulders. So if you have osteoporosis or you have any shoulder issue at the minute, you might prefer to do this in kneeling or seated and just repeat what we did before. Osteoporosis in particular, let your hips move with you, okay? Otherwise, we're going to be here. Let's lengthen that spine. Make sure we haven't dropped the head down. We've lifted the chin, got support from underneath. And let's extend that arm. And we're going to thread it in, bring that shoulder down, and thread back out. Thread it down and thread it out. Can you start to lift that arm and feel that you open the shoulder a little bit more? Only if it feels okay. And can you bend the opposite arm? Come down. Can you bring that shoulder nearer to the floor? And out. And let's take that hand down. Let's swap sides now. Take the arm out and threading through and opening back out again. Listen to your body. When you feel ready to, start to add in those extra moves. Lift it a little higher, open that shoulder, Bring it down a little lower. Push back out. Big stretch. And stretch, really open that shoulder. And come back. Okay, if it's available to you, let's sit back to shell stretch. Otherwise, just into a relaxed position, head nodded. Let's breathe into the back. And then on your next breath out, just curling back up through the spine. And sitting up lovely and tall. Okay, from there, we're going to come back to to 4-point position for pinpoint arms and legs. But we're going to add in a couple of variations today if you would like to. So remember, if you're seated, you might want to stand up and do these with one hand against the wall, okay, or holding on to something sturdy. So let's come back to that 4-point position, just making sure you've got plenty space between your wrists and your knees, that's your body length. So if you're kind of there, okay, is your body really only that long? Yeah. The distance between your shoulder and your hip is the same as from your elbow to your fingertips, so measure if you need to. We're generally a lot longer than we think we are. Okay, so we're there. Get that support from underneath again. Now, can you feel a slight softness into the elbow joint? Width across the shoulders, so that we can feel the arm muscles are switched on. And let's keep it on the floor to begin with. Let's extend and draw back in. Now, one thing I'd like you to notice for me, as you extend, do you sit back? And you can notice this by checking in with your arms, if you've moved away from your hand. So very often, I see people moving that entire body. You're staying beautifully level, but we're just cheating with the support element of it a little bit. So if we want this exercise to be really, really effective, just try and keep those hips over your knees. Now we're going to add in that lift, so we'll take a breath in and a breath out to lift. And back in. Inhale, exhale. And one more each side. That's it. Lift and lengthen that leg away from you. Last one. And in. Now, let's just sit back a touch and just give those wrists a little rest. So come onto the back of the wrist, give those fingers a wriggle. Just loosen them out. Scrunch and stretch. Now I did say we were going to do a variation on that pinpoint arms and legs. We're going to work into the hip a little bit more now. So I would like us to just extend the leg. Let's stretch it out and lift. Now it doesn't need to be a very high lift if that's not available to you, but think about how level your hips are. Switch that core on. Now can you squeeze that leg across and tap behind the other foot? Take it out to the side just a little way. Now it's not a big crossover because otherwise then we're using the whole body and that's defeating what I want to get from you. I would like us to get some really good movement into the hip socket. Okay, and into all those muscles that support the legs and the pelvis. Now if we go all gung-ho and do great big movements and that pelvis is wriggling all over the place, then we're not getting that fine detailed movement that's going to be so beneficial for your back and your hips and your knees. So squeeze it across. I want you to feel that inner thigh. So notice if you feel it's all happening in your back, or is it happening in your hips and in your legs? Right, let's bring that in. And again, let's just give those wrists a little wriggle and a rest. And come back to that 4-point position. Changing legs. So let's extend, really stretch it out, lift from the glutes and squeeze it across and out. So it's not big. This isn't about how big an arc you can draw. This is about how much activation you can get in that inner thigh and in the outside of the hip. So focus there. Are you feeling it? One more. And let's pull that back in. And take a sit back, come back to your shell stretch or your slump stretch, whichever feels better for your body. Turn your palms to the ceiling, scrunch and stretch. And then curling back up. Okay, it's time to grab those blocks now. We're going to come into side lying. Now, if you're working with a mat, use that mat to get yourself in a straight line. Okay, it's really easy to kind of cheat in side lying, and if you're not in a straight line, some of the exercises aren't going to be doing what we want them to do. So, ear onto the block, stretch the body out. Now, just check your head. Is your head here? Forwards. Let's get it lined up. Feel that chin retracted. Ear onto the block, and your ribs and your hips should be the same distance away from that front edge. Okay, let's activate that core. I'm not relaxing into this. Everything's switched on. Stretching those legs away, and that includes the underneath leg. Now, those of you who turn your legs out, can you make sure you've got big toes together for me here? Can you feel how that changes what's happening in your hip? Okay, I'd like you to stretch that leg away. Push it away. Feel that stretch down here. Now, can you pull that leg back up and pull your hip in towards your ribs? Feel how you dip down into the mat. This is a hip hitch. We're going to push away and pull back in. Just make sure that head is relaxed. Push away and pull back in. Now, if you ever get a really stiff back, this is a very nice one to do to just get your back moving again very gently. So this and a gentle walk and hip rolls are brilliant for backs that are just kind of coming out of spasm as sort of the first things to do to get them moving again. Right, let's bring those big toes and heels together again. And let's stretch that foot. We're going to lift, flex, and down again. Now focus on where you're feeling it. Are you feeling it here? Brilliant. Are you feeling it here? If you are, take your leg back. Are you feeling it right round here? Turn that leg to parallel. Okay, we want it right here, side of the hip, right into where that dimple goes. Flex and down. Are you working those feet? Let's keep those feet healthy and flexible. And stretch and lift. One more. And down. Wonderful. Is that hip aching a little bit? Just drop it forwards if you need to allow that hip to stretch a little. And then we're going to come back. Now, we're going into side leg 2. If that is not appropriate for you, so osteoporosis, if your back does not like side flexion, okay, that's not for you. If you still have your recovery from a diastasis, a hernia or a prolapse, or hip replacements, okay, you're going to come back to side leg 1, but what I'd like you to do instead is you're going to kick your leg forwards and then kick it back. Okay, so you're just going to do a little variation on that. Otherwise, we're coming into side leg 2. So let's take a breath in as we lift that leg. Now, strong breath out, lift that bottom leg, squeeze your knees together, flex and lower. It does not matter if the toes don't touch. What matters is that we get the knees together. We're just going to do 3 more. And one last one. And down. Wonderful. Let's all bring that top leg forwards. Give that hip a little stretch out. Give it a rub if you need to. Okay, and then we're going to bring the other knee forwards as well. So we've got both knees underneath us and we're going into side lying open door. Now, what I'd like you to do is fix those knees together and fix them to the floor. Unless you have a spinal condition, including osteoporosis, where rotation isn't good for you. In which case you are going to let those knees slide, you're going to let that hip slide back as well, and then bring it back again, okay? So if that applies to you, you're going to get that lovely slide and back. If that's not you, I want you to fix them. Create an anchor. Anchor those knees to the floor, and let's take those arms forwards. Okay, we're going to start by lifting that hand. Turn the head if it feels good for you and bring it back down. Now, certain neck conditions, if that rotation doesn't feel good, keep the head facing forward. Turn only if it feels okay. So the shoulders should be lovely and loose from the exercises that we did before. Have you got a nice straight arm and you're pointing at the ceiling? Right, anyone forgotten about those knees? You're either gliding in a moment or you are anchoring. Right, so I'm going to anchor. If you're gliding, you let them glide. Let's take that arm up and let's open and rotate. I haven't quite got enough room here. And up and back down. If I come any further forwards, I think I'll disappear off your screens. Let's see what happens. Okay, we lift. Anchoring those knees, rotate. And up. And down. So it's a breath in. Exhale as you come round. Take a breath in here. And take a breath out to come all the way back again. You should be feeling that right in these abdominals. Are you getting that lovely connection from rib to hip? Are you pulling back round from here? Pull and down. We're going to do one more. And down. Wonderful. Okay. From there, we're going to come up into a propped position. I'm just going to pop my block slightly out of the way. Now, I'm taking my knees a little bit further back because I don't want them really in front of me. I'm taking them a bit further back. And shoulder issues, if you don't feel happy propped up on your forearm, it might be that you're sinking into that shoulder and that shoulder is taking all the weight of your upper body. Just try pushing away from the floor and actually using your core to support you. If that still doesn't do it, bring your block back and you're going to do this lying down instead. Okay, we're going to extend that top leg. Let's take the arm up. Now we're going to reach overhead, palm is facing away. I'm going to stretch the foot, lift that leg, reach for the side of the knee. Inhale, exhale. Now, if you want to, stay here. If you think you can you press down into that bottom leg and lift? Inhale down, exhale lift. So this is weight bearing through the shoulder. Osteoporosis, you're not going to do this, no hips lifting, but weight bearing propped up is good for you. And one last one, and in. Okay, from there, just come up, however's comfortable for you. Take a little shoulder roll. Take a little stretch. And let's recover to do those on the other side. So I'm going to twizzle across, grab my block. Remember, we're going to use that mat to help us line ourselves up. Lovely straight line. Core active. Legs stretched out. I'm going to start with a bit of support. And we're going to point that top foot. We're going into that hip hitch again. So this is where we push away and pull back up. So you're feeling your back move as well. Just allow the breath to flow with this movement. Now we've got one last one, and then what we want to try and find is that lovely position where our knuckles of the big toes are together, knees are together. If you've got your heels together, that's okay, but just check when you lift that you don't have that leg turned out. So we don't want to feel it round the back. Try not to feel it in the sides of the body, just like we did in that hip hitch. Okay, we want to really find those muscles along this top side of the hip. So let's switch that core on. We're going to point the foot and lift and flex and lower. So finding it right there. Now if you're feeling it front of the thigh, remember you're probably bringing your leg forwards as you lift. It might only be a little bit, but it can make the world of difference. So just tune in. Where are you feeling it? Let's get one more. Now just bend that knee, let's bring it forwards. Allow that hip to have a stretch before we move on to side leg 2 or the variation that you did on the other side. So remember, side leg 2, lifting that bottom leg, not appropriate if you've had a hip replacement, if you've got osteoporosis. Maybe you've got pelvic girdle pain, in which case that might be uncomfortable too. If you have a diastasis, a hernia or a prolapse, you need to be cautious with that. So you can monitor. If you're good at doing that, if you're not sure, stay with the safer version. So safer version is you holding that leg at hip height, you're going to take it forwards and then you're going to push it back. Okay, otherwise you're coming into side leg 2 with me, and I'd like you to think about really creating and maintaining some length between the ribs and the hips. So let's stretch and lift, reach that leg away, not high. Breath out, bring the bottom leg up, flex and down. So another little cheat that I often see is as that bottom leg comes up, people bend at the hips and rock back. Yeah, just see if you can keep that top hip forwards. Stretch, inhale. Now exhale, use that core for me. Come on, switch it on. Brilliant. Breath out. And this is so good for your pelvic floor as well, this one. And one last one. And down. And again, let's just give that hip a little release. Let's drop it forwards. We're going to do some really nice hip stretches in a little while. Okay. So, both knees forwards now for side lying open door. I'm just going to come a little bit further down my mat. So remember, if you were gliding on the other side, if you were letting your knees move and your hips roll, you're going to glide on this side, and we're not going to force that rotation. So that was in particular certain spinal conditions. If you know rotation isn't good for you, osteoporosis, diastasis, some hernias, okay, listen to your bodies. Otherwise, let's widen those shoulders and fix those knees, anchor them to the floor. Let's lift that hand, follow it up to the ceiling, and bring it back down again. Lift and down. Now this is where we get to take it a little bit further. Let's take a strong breath out. We're going back. Hold for a breath in. Now exhale, pull back up and round. Make that happen from your core. Have those knees moved? Not even a millimetre, folks. One last one. And over. Wonderful. Okay, we're coming to that side leg kick now. So you might be staying here Yeah, head down if you did on the other side, and just working that top leg. Otherwise, you're coming onto that forearm, so osteoporosis if you can. I want you to do this without the hip lift, but I want you to try and get some weight bearing through that shoulder. Push away from the floor. I'm taking the knees back a little bit more. Abdominals are in. Let's take that arm up. And we're going to stretch that leg out, reach for the side of the knee. Fold it back in. Stretch and reach. And in. Now if you can, add in that lift. Can you lift those hips? Are you still over your elbow? So as you lift, do you push away? Try and stay right over that elbow. So if anything, as you're coming up, think push that way, yeah? Push over that elbow, that's it. One last one. And down. And again, just pushing gently up, however's comfortable for you. Let's roll those shoulders. And we're just going to come into a little seated position. So, hands slightly behind you, chest open. We're going to take the feet quite wide and forwards. And I want you to just drop the knees to one side. Relax into it, take a breath in. And exhale, go over to the other side. So we've got one leg turning out and one leg turning in. Try not to let your hip come off the floor. Okay, anchor your bum. So we exhale to move. Inhale, relax into that stretch. One more each way. Lovely. Okay, let's bring those legs down now, and together, if you haven't had a recent hip replacement, or if that feels uncomfortable, if you have any pelvic girdle pain. Now, I'd like you to wrap the hips, work from your glutes, turn those legs out. I know some of you are telling you not to turn your legs out. I'm going to let you just for this one. Okay, we're going to stretch the feet. Flex the feet. Stretch the feet. So as you stretch the feet, think of pushing the ball of the foot forwards and down and getting that arch to work rather than just scrunching your toes. So feel that arch work. Stretch and flex. Now we're going to stretch those feet. Take one foot over the top of the others, and what I'd like you to do is just push up, sit tall. Start to ease forwards. Now my back isn't feeling brilliant this morning, so I'm really not going to force it. Normally I can get my chest onto my legs, but today I am listening to my body and I am not doing that. So I'm just going to ease to where I can and feel that stretch. And release. Let's take it back. Open the shoulders, lift the chest. Let's lift that leg, bring it down. Let's flex and stretch again. Push the heels forwards. Push the ball of the foot forwards. One last stretch. Okay, let's pick up the other leg. Let's lift it up, cross it over. Push up, sit tall. Okay, listen to your body. Ease forwards. Relax over those legs. Try not to just round and drop the head though. Think of softly lifting the chest. And coming back up. Wonderful. Right, let's bend the knees and just give ourselves a little hug. Again, if you're doing this sat in a chair, you can absolutely do this one. We're going to take those feet out in front, make sure we sat up on our sitting bones. And I'd like you to just take the arms forwards. And as you lift them up, unless you've got stenosis, I would like you to come into a little bit of an extension. Just think, pull your shoulders down, and can you take them slightly behind your hips? Open the arms and round. So we go forward, you can stretch it forward if that feels good. Take it up, shoulders down, circle. So make this as big or as small as you want to. Moving through your comfortable range, but try and challenge yourself with that range if it's appropriate. Let's do one more. Wonderful. Now, we've done a lot of hip work today. If you can, now you can do this lying down or you can do this sat in a chair. Can you get that leg to come across? Okay, if that's too much, do it lying on your back. Or come up and sit into a chair, just rest that across, take that stretch if you can. If you're in this position, can you walk that foot in? Ooh, deepen that stretch. Now, the thing with stretches is it's important to try and relax into them. So if you're gripping and holding that position, just relax. Breath in, exhale, let that muscle soften. Let it happen. Okay, let's release. Take the other leg. So if you're lying down, you're just swapping over. If you're in your chair, just pop that other leg on top. Now, loosen that grip. Let go of that grip consciously. Breathe it out. Inhale. Exhale. Notice that grip. Let it go. And release. Okay, from there, coming up into standing, however is safe and appropriate for you. Okay, but I'm going to try and use a squat because I think it's a fantastic way of getting yourself safely off the floor if you can do it. Tucking the toes, we practiced this earlier, flexibility of the feet. Get those heels down, lift the chest and push all the way up. Okay, so coming back to that good standing posture, let's take the arm up, take a stretch across the chest if your shoulder doesn't like this, and down, up and over, and down. Let's take the arms into an opposition swing. If it feels good, let the body turn as well. Let's go back to that little reach that we did earlier. So we softened the knees and reached forward, let the head drop. Push back, open the shoulders, open the chest. And reach. And inhale, open. And then let's take soft knees and a big stretch up. And out. Very well done. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. So I had Jean with me, lovely. Well done, Jean. Or George, it might have been George. Or both of you. Thank you for joining me. I hope you've all enjoyed that, and please do take care, look after yourselves. Can't wait till we can all be back together again at the studio. Time is flying by this time, so hopefully it won't be too long, and I'll see you soon. All right, bye bye.